Good morning, everybody. It's your boy D Mac. Let's talk. So, I want to talk about Dennis Schroeder or Schrader, however you pronounce it. Dennis Schrader is a prime example of someone who thinks more highly of themselves than they ought to. We know that the word tells us that a man should not think more highly than he ought to of himself. There's nothing wrong with having confidence and believing in yourself, but when you value yourself at a much higher value than you really have, then you lost touch with reality and now you've fallen into pride. And this is where Dennis Schroeder is right now, and we're seeing the results of his pride. Dennis Schroeder could have came out. He could have got a deal for at least like Lonzo Ball. He could have at least got 80 mil. But what he wanted to do, he wanted to play around and he wanted to play games with different teams. Now his team, um, this team has been trying to pick up somebody else. We knew that they wanted to get rid of Schrader. He's a part of that core that they're replacing with the guys that they picked up, and now that they picked up Carmelo Anthony, Trevor Ariza, Westbrook, and guys like this, they don't need a Dennis Schroeder. The Lakers are not interested in. Well, Schroeder doesn't need to be developed. This guy's been in the league for a while now. It's not like he's a rookie and he's up and coming. He's been in the league for quite a while, but he's just not a fit in LA. And he wants to be in LA. He likes the hoopla and the fanfare that comes with being in LA, but he can't produce to an LA Lakers standard. And so now he's feeling salty because he's built himself up to be all of this, and he did not produce because during the play-in game, he totally disappeared. He was nowhere to be found, and they got destroyed because LeBron had no help. He had a hurt AD. He had a disgruntled Montrezl Harrell. He had a Drummond who couldn't do anything. All of these guys that they brought in to try to build around AD and LeBron didn't work. And so now they're going back to the old school. They picked up all of these older, experienced players so that they can make a run for a championship this year. That's what LeBron does. He does not build teams. He's not interested in developing anybody. And so Dennis Schroeder does not fit in the system, but he's trying to force his way into the system. And it's not going to work for him because look, his field goal percentage has dwindled since he left OKC. His what was his field average was, I believe it was 42 from the field and 29 from 3 point. Now when he was in OKC, he was shooting like 38% from 3 point range. So now that's went down a whole lot. So him not even having that in his arsenal anymore, and it went down a significant amount. That means his stock dropped. The showing that he showed last season made his stock drop significantly. So that hundred million that he was talking about, he's never going to see that from any team. No team is going to pay $100 million for Dennis Schroeder. They barely wanted to pay 85 million for Alonzo Ball, and Lonzo is far better than Dennis Schroeder. We all know this, and he's put himself in a place of limbo right now because all of the other teams have made the moves that they really wanted to make and gotten the players that they really wanted, and now Dennis Schroeder is stuck out on an island because he wanted to hold out. He wanted to see if he could get more money because he felt like he was worth more than 80 million. He felt like he was worth 125, 150 million. Based off of what though? What is he basing his value off of? Because it's not from his performance from last season or the season before that. He can't base any value off of that. And if that's what he's going on, then somebody is misleading him. Where is his agent? Who is in his ear telling him all of this stuff? And if that agent can't handle him or get him to understand that he's not worth that much, then I can understand. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes you have to step back and just lift your hands in a situation because some people are just so ignorant and so high-minded that you can't tell them anything. Now, if that's the case and Dennis isn't listening to the people in his corner, then oh well, he's going to beat himself out of a whole lot of money because now the position that he's in, he has no leverage whatsoever. So nobody has to offer Dennis Schroeder anything because really and truly everybody have the pieces that they need. And picking up Dennis Schroeder would just be depth on their roster. Really and truly, to be honest about it. Is he a good piece to have? Yeah, coming in off of the bench. But having him as a starter and putting the ball in his hands and making him the main guy is absolutely not going to happen on any basketball team in the NBA. And Dennis Schroeder needs to get this out of his head. He needs to humble himself and he needs to accept whatever offer he gets and then proves that he deserves more. So he may just end up getting a 1 year deal with somebody now. And he may just have to take a deal from Lakers because nobody else want him now. He's not a good bargaining chip. And so guys have to understand when you're in the league and you're trying and these free agencies are coming up and stuff like that, and you know that your name is on the chopping block, but you still want to sit out there and play these games and hold out as if you're a star, a big star. See, this is where his being in touch with reality got fuzzy because Dennis Schroeder is not a star. And then we're using this word star far too much because I heard the Milwaukee series. We heard people calling Chris Middleton a star. We heard them calling Drew Holiday a star. I wouldn't go as far as to call them stars. I would call them good role players and things of that nature. But as far as being a star, you'll never get rid of Giannis and keep Chris Middleton and put everything on Chris Middleton's shoulders. You'll never get rid of Giannis and put everything on Drew Holiday's shoulders and build a team around Drew Holiday because these guys are not the franchise players. These guys are not consistent. They're good role players. They'll give you good minutes every other night, but they're not going to do what Giannis did and persevere through an injury and carry a team to a championship because that's exactly what happened. Yeah, Middleton did come clutch a few games. Yeah, Drew Holiday did come clutch a few games. I understand that Giannis couldn't do it all by himself, but what I'm saying is that these guys are not stars. And we use that word star way too loosely now in the NBA. Soon as a guy shoots for 40 points in a game, we want to start putting that tag of star on him. Soon as a guy can go in and do some things and move around without the I don't even know the word I'm looking for. As soon as the guy come in and does some good things and gets the crowd going, all of a sudden he's a star. Nah, he's not a star. He's a good basketball player who does some exciting things. But what makes a star versus a good basketball player? A star is somebody who's going to come in every single night and give their all, and they're really going to be the deciding factor between the team's success and its failures. I don't put that on Chris Middleton's shoulders. I don't put that on Drew Holiday's shoulders, nor would I put that on Dennis Schroeder's shoulders. So Dennis Schroeder is not a star in the NBA. He is a basketball player in the NBA, but he's not as good as a lot of these guys that he's putting himself above. So Dennis Schroeder is beating himself out because of pride. The pride of life is destroying this man's opportunity to make a lot more money than what he's going to end up getting for this next season that's coming up because he won't let go of the idea of being a star. He got to LA and I guess they boosted his head up or whatever. And this guy thinks he deserves a whole lot more than what he does. And it's going to be interesting to see where he ends up and what he's going to do there. And how much are they going to really offer them? What is the team going to offer for a Dennis Schroeder, a guy who's coming off of a poor season, who's coming off of a lack of confidence, and all of these things that they're going to have to build back up? All right. That's just what I see, man. Dennis Schroeder played himself, and he needs to really humble himself and prove himself. He's been in the league for a while now. It's not like Dennis Schroeder just got here a year or two ago. This guy's been here for a minute, but nobody heard of him until he became a Laker. I didn't hear about Dennis Schroeder in OKC, and I never heard that name coming across Sports Center or ESPN or anything like that. All right, so I didn't know this guy until I saw him on the Lakers team, and then I was like, "Well, that's an ugly dude." And that was the first thing, my first impression about Dennis Schroeder. Oh, that's an ugly dude. You look like Cell from Dragon Ball Z. That's what I thought. But as far as his game, I never took to his game. I never really saw anything special about his game. He's just a role player. And, to get into LA, a lot of people's a lot of people confidence go through the roof. That's something that these big market teams can do to somebody. When you play for LA or a Knicks or something like that, you're going to get a whole lot of notoriety. You're going to get a whole lot of exposure. And LA being the Hollywood epicenter, then yeah, these guys sometimes get a larger than life persona, and it's hurt Dennis Schroeder. So be careful when you go to places like LA, these big money market teams, because people will boost your head up for being on that team, and you will think of yourself more highly than you ought to, simply because of who you played for and not specifically because of your game. All right, so that's all I wanted to say about Dennis Schroeder, man. I hope he does get a decent deal, but he has to prove himself and he needs to humble himself because he's not all that he's thinking himself to be. This is your boy D Mac. You know what I say? Sticks and stone. What's up, Adam? Hey, good to see you in here, bro. What you got to say about what I'm talking about? I was about to go out, but nah, I got a few minutes to chop it up. So, what do you think about Dennis Schroeder, man? Because I've always had a problem with this guy. I never saw him as being a determining factor for the Lakers at all. I thought that Kyle Kuzma would stand out more. Um, Kyle Kuzma had his flashes of he had his flashes of good time of good plays and things like that. But overall, that's not what LeBron wanted. And we all know that LA is all about what LeBron wants. Jenny Buss is gonna give LeBron what he wants. Um, uh, Vogel is not going to go against what LeBron says. And so if LeBron says he wants this old Geritol team, then LeBron's gonna get this old Geritol team. Now, I made a joke the other day. I was saying that their locker room gonna be smelling like Bengay. Actually, I said icy hot, but you can say Bengay, you can say Tiger Bomb. All of those good ointments is gonna be needed in that locker room. You have the oldest roster in the league right now with LA, and I think they're trying to get Andre Iguodala. So that's just gonna make him even older. Andre Iguodala played for Golden State back when Clay was a young buck, when Clay Thompson, way before he was hurt. He was strong body Clay. You said, as well, as far as Dennis Schroeder goes, I'm not hating on the man, but he should have accepted his role, bro. Now look at him. He won't get that money he was asking for. Exactly, man. That's my point, man. He thought more highly of himself and tried to hold out as if he was a star. He's not on the level of Alonzo Ball. He's not on the level of who's somebody else that's in that same league. I would say, well, no, Trey Young, he stepped up a whole lot. So has Devin Booker. Guys like that. Now they deserve that. I give Devin Booker 100 million any day because he's proved himself, and Devin Booker's been here for 7 years, but he has proved himself throughout this whole entire season, and especially the postseason. Devin Booker proved that he's worth at least 100 million or more. Same thing with Trey Young. These guys stepped up, and they were not like the stars of the team. Well, Trey Young is on the Hawks, but Devin Booker is not considered the star on Phoenix. That would be Chris Paul. Chris Paul is their leader. Chris Paul is their star, their go-to. But then, yeah, man, Dennis should have humbled himself, man. But he didn't want to humble himself. And now look at him. He's stuck in a position to where he might just only get offered a 1-year deal for pennies on the dollar because he tried to hold out for something. He had a LeBron attitude, but he has a high school. He don't have the game to go with what he's trying to do. His game don't go with his bravado. And when you can't back up your bravado with your game, people tend to not like you, and that's what's happening with Dennis Schroeder. So he beat himself out of a lot of money. Now he's gonna have to settle for pennies and prove himself all over again with another team, and I hope the best for him, man. But y'all see what happened. Learn from Dennis Schroeder. Don't think more highly of yourself than you ought to because you'll end up in a bad position, which will humble you. You don't want to be humbled. You'd rather humble yourself because when God humbles you, he really humbles you. So this is your boy D Mac, man. You know what I say. Sticks and stones can break you. You said if I'm Rob Palinka, I'm shipping Dennis Schroeder out like magic says he's not meant to be a Laker. Yeah, and see that's the problem they have because nobody's wanting Schroeder though because he keep on playing these games like I'm worth 100 million, so y'all gonna have to give me this or that, or I'm not gonna agree to these terms. Dude, he does not have the bargaining chips. He does not have that type of value to be able to be making any demands of any team. And like I was stating before, everybody already got the pieces that they need. So now he's just stuck out there on the island by himself, just hoping for somebody to pick him up at this point. Um, his field goal percentage is down. He only shot what 20, I think 29% from three last season. 29% from three, and you're asking for $100 million, bro? No, absolutely not. Lonzo got 85 mil. I think he should have gotten 100 mil. Guys like that, but Dennis Schroeder, no, you didn't prove that you deserve it. You've been in the league long enough, and if you don't have time to rediscover yourself or recreate yourself as a player, you've been in for a while, and you're going to start succumbing to injuries as you get older and trying to go into a new system. You're going to be having to go through those struggles of learning a new system now. Do I think the Lakers are stuck with Dennis at this point? I think they are. I really do think they are. And best thing that he can do is be a role player coming in off the bench for the Lakers if he stay there. Um, Nobody else is going to pick up Dennis Schroeder. Who else could use him? Everybody else has got some great pieces. Everybody else has got great guards, and who really needs a guard with a chip on his shoulder and thinking more of himself than he really is? So, you know, like I said, I hope Dennis gets picked up by somebody, or I hope he gets a good deal with Lakers and really have an opportunity to prove himself again and redeem himself from last season because he didn't show us that he's worth anything that he's been asking for. So you said Lakers don't got to play him, do they? They have a pretty solid bench. I mean, their bench, and that's the thing that we talked about before because the Lakers bench was solid, but then whenever they just took their whole core of youth out and got all of those other guys. Remember when they got rid of Lonzo, Ingram, and whatchamacallit, I forgot the other guy, the third pick. When they got rid of them, that got rid of their young core. And so then that left them with these guys. Now, I said that I would I would get rid of AD and I would get like two or three pieces to add to give me some depth on the bench. You know, I didn't want to. I said I wouldn't get rid of Montrezl Harrell. I wouldn't have got rid of Kuzma. Them. I would have kept them as my guys coming in off of the bench, and they would have to earn them a spot if they could. but I wouldn't get rid of everybody. And but that's what they did. They went and got rid of everybody, and they brought in these old veterans. And now we're gonna see what that's gonna do for them. Is that gonna pay off for the Lakers? Then I could see Schroeder coming in off of the bench. And Schroeder coming in off of the bench may be a really great asset because I feel like he could do more for them coming in off the bench than him actually starting. So we'll see what takes place, man, and hopefully this guy gets it together, get his mind straight, and get off of this high horse that he set himself on, because he set himself up for failure doing that. But this is your boy D Mac, man. You know what I always say: sticks and stones can break your bones, but the word can always heal you. I'm out.